All right, let's start the meeting, 7 o'clock. Thank you all for coming. We'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, Chair to select order to business. I'd like to move the public comment communication before the superintendent's report, which will be the budget. Since we have some people in the public, I don't want to have you sit through the whole budget if you don't want to, and if you want to speak. So I'll make that change and we'll move to public comment. So for public comment, just want to read this. 5 minutes may be allotted for each speaker and a maximum of 20 minutes for each subject matter. No boisterous conduct shall be permitted at any Board of Education meeting. Persistence in boisterous conduct shall be grounds for summary termination by the chairperson of that person's privilege of address. If necessary, the chairperson may clear the room so that the board can continue the meeting. No presentation shall include charges or complaints against any employee of the Board of Education, regardless of whether or not the employee is identified in the presentation by name or by another reference, which tends to identify that individual. All charges or complaints against employees shall be submitted to the Board of Education under provisions of Board of Education policy. So that being said, anyone like to? If you can just state your name and address, please.
Okay, well, she doesn't know the address. So this is Indy Levitt Cardwell, and it's 81 Burwell Road in New Hartford.
My name is Indy Cardwell, and my school is Bakerville. My teacher is Miss Labunchik. I know we should not have masks, and you know that, and I know that. Rules sometimes do not matter. It's just like Rosa Parks. She refused to get off the bus for the good. She did not want to get arrested. She knew that it would help change the world and end segregation. And also, me and my friend have these aches that are caused by masks. My ache is... So it all happened after I got my lunch. I was heading towards my seat and I got this ache right around here. And right after I took my mask off, I felt a bit better, and I knew it was the mask that was hurting me. And Sophia, well, she couldn't breathe. Once she couldn't breathe because of masks. Also, why do you just want us to wear masks just to make you feel good? No, it matters if we're safe and if we're healthy. Not if you feel good that we're, wearing masks. So that's why we shouldn't wear masks. So we should stop wearing masks. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. May I also go?
Oh, of course.
Okay. I'm Christy Paradis. I'm Indy's mom, 81 Burwell Road. I can't. Okay. I'm new to this. So unfortunately, for the first time today, I did get a call from her school. Indy is a super resilient kid. She is bright. She is happy. She is ridiculously smart. And she is a friend to pretty much her entire school. And for the first time, I got a phone call that she pretty much she got really upset. And it turned into what I would call a panic attack. She got incredibly sad. She had to go talk to her, the school counselor, who I can't say enough wonderful things about the teachers and the staff. They're amazing. I have no qualms. But I just don't think she's been at this school. I grew up in this town. She's been at this school since kindergarten. And she's never had a full year of normal. And like every child, school's not normal. We go our ups and downs and everything. But today it shifted because my super happy, literally will put up with anything smiling kid was broken today. And she came home broken. There are children who aren't resilient like Indy. I know that for a fact. And I just don't know how they're coping, because I've been super positive, like, we'll get through it. We will do this. There comes a point where it's just like insanity. We're doing the same thing over, looking for a different result, and we're not getting those results. Everyone at this point understands these things don't work. It is at this point laughable. There's about 51 different, like, why are we, I guess the answer is when she asked me, why am I wearing this? When she understands that a virus goes right through, what am I supposed to tell my kid? What I don't have a good answer, because my answer is for money, for politics, I would love an answer, because I was the mom that was crazy. I Lysoled the groceries. I stayed inside. We did all the things. We went COVID crazy. And then the more we read and the more we listened and the more we communicated with other people, we realized, oh, okay, we did those things. We took precautions, but now it's just silly. And I don't know what to do, because my kid is the kid that's incredibly endurant. Nothing makes this kid sad. Honestly, it's like raising sunshine 99% of the time. And it's getting to her. I can't imagine what it's getting and how other children are handling this. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Kristen Kasiba, 40 Windsor Lane. A lot of parents, even some of your own staff, fear what people may think of them regarding the mask mandate, so they won't speak up, which is fine, because I will do anything and everything in my power to be a voice for not only my kids, but theirs as well. This is no longer a pandemic about a virus. It's a pandemic of our children's developmental, social, emotional, and mental health. When you think of elementary school for your child, you think of them smiling, laughing, and running around the playground, sharing crayons, holding hands, exchanging hugs, enjoying time in their classroom with their teacher and peers. I'm sad to say this was not my child's experience. You robbed my child of that experience at Bakerville Elementary, and you are continuing to rob every child of that experience. Maybe you should do your own research and statistics of the children who have had COVID and what the outcome was. A face cloth mask from your local store is not protecting anyone from this virus, especially because children don't even wear them properly. At this point, the masks are being used to cover their facial expressions, which at a young age, children utilize these facial expressions for learning purposes. The CDC recently came out with mask guidelines and stated, do not wear cloth masks with gaps around the sides of the face or nose, single layer fabric, wet or dirty material. Every child that I've seen, whether on the bus after school, during school hours, through pictures that are posted, have gaps, single layer fabric, especially wet or dirty material that they wear throughout the day. Every child, has anyone ever wondered how this will affect students by wearing a mask continually throughout the day? All I've heard from your end is that it's for protection of themselves and others. My family and friends in New York had the opportunity for one day to send their kids to school without a mask. The kids' reactions were tears of joy, and they were extremely elated. However, at school, some kids didn't remove their masks, not because they didn't want to, but for fear that they would be yelled at by their teachers or judged by students for not wearing one. Do you see what this is doing to them mentally? Kids as young as 5 are feared to remove their mask because they may get in trouble or deal with other consequences. UNICEF stated children are not the face of this pandemic, but they risk being among its biggest victims, as children's lives are nonetheless being changed in profound ways, and in some cases by mitigation measures that may inadvertently do more harm than good. There was an advocacy toolkit for parents, teachers, and administrators that came out on January 7th regarding children, COVID, and the urgency of normal. I believe each of you were emailed a copy, and if not, I will email it for you. There are multiple authors consisting of doctors, pediatricians, and various backgrounds in medicine, some of whom worked for the CDC. A few key notes that the toolkit touched upon is protecting the mental, social, and emotional health of students, and it's paramount, stating that children are experiencing alarming levels of anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and suspected suicidal attempts. Student masking has no scientifically established benefit in real-world use. Moving to mask optional policies. Avoid escalating mask rules or other COVID policies. It only increases fear. The toolkit also stressed that protecting the mental, social, and emotional health of students should be our top priority. A global analysis of 29 studies found that depressive and anxiety symptoms doubled during the pandemic, with 25% of youth experiencing depressive symptoms and 20% of experiencing anxiety symptoms. According to the CDC surveillance data, emergency department visits for suicide attempts in adolescent girls increased 51% in early 2021. 211 calls for New Hartford alone for intervention and suicide. There were 8 individuals under the age of 18, and those were individuals that actually called. We don't even know the individuals under 18 in the New Hartford area that decided not to call and may be feeling that way. The toolkit, in closing, states reclaiming normal life for our kids is the best way to support and protect them. A few months ago, the school had sent out a screening around social, emotional, and behavioral health of the students. I had questions regarding the screening and wanted to discuss what questions would be asked. When I met with the counselor, we reviewed the questions, and she assured me that the students' well-being is their top priority. She mentioned that they could see when a child is sad or emotional. I, in turn, had asked how they determine that when the child is wearing a mask covering their face. Her response was their eyes. Please explain to me how you could tell if a child is sad or struggling by looking in their eyes. Here is a picture of children with multiple emotions on one side and children with masks on the other side. Please tell me if you could distinguish behind the mask what this child's emotions are. Yesterday morning, before the bus, my children were complaining about wearing the mask, and I had asked them if they received a mask break. They said only when they are eating snack, go outside, or if they have water. My 5-year-old turned to me and said, "Mommy, sometimes I sneak extra water because I can't breathe and need a break from my mask." My 5-year-old is lying to me, lying to the teacher about drinking water so she could breathe. How is this acceptable? The fact that almost 2 years you are still willing to suffocate these children daily is disgusting. Each of you, for continuing this, has had a hand in their social, emotional, and developmental delay. You are wondering why so many of these kids are behind? Remove the mask so that they can have a conversation with their peers and their teachers and actually be able to visibly see their facial expressions. Make the mask optional so those that want to continue to wear one can. However, let it be their choice. Our children only get one childhood, and it's being stolen from them by this mandate. They were told from the very beginning to wear a mask or else they or their loved ones will get sick or even worse, die. That by wearing one, they are protecting their peers and their teachers. These are children, and they should have never been made to feel that their peers and teachers fear them because of a virus they may not even have. They are carrying a burden that was never theirs to carry. What does it take to end this, or does it end when the government stops giving you funding?
Anybody else? All right, last call for public comment. Okay.
All right, so I'm not even going to read from this because there's no
Please
point.
just state your name and address.
Anissa Zucker. I'm at 10 Kellogg Road, New Hartford. My daughter is Melody Zucker. My husband is David. We're private entrepreneurs, music teacher, and a reading specialist. I'm applying for a job tomorrow, probably moving out of the state, maybe Massachusetts, most likely. I am unvaccinated. My daughter's not
Can you
going
please ask them to speak into the mic so we can hear them?
And I'm sorry, can you put on your mask?
My daughter is in first grade. She
Ma'am,
is.
can you please put on your mask? I think you had one on.
I don't have, like, I put one in my pocket.
There's one right at the door.
She's unvaccinated.
I'm sorry, the rule is we have to wear masks in this room.
We love Bakerville School. The reason we even moved here was because of Bakerville School 7 years ago when my daughter was born. I was teaching as a literacy consultant in Canton Public Schools, and I loved Bakerville. Everyone was raving about how great Bakerville School was and how the policies were and just everything about the community and the way people take care of each other and nurture one another and come together in groups. I know a lot about Bakerville, and I know this isn't who you are. You are beautiful people. You don't need these masks. You know it's all BS. You know that as a truth. This is coming from even the CDC. We know we can state facts all we want, blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to argue one way or the other. What this comes down to is freedom. Freedom or authoritarianism. We know where this is leading. It's either a dictatorship or we are free to make our own choices for our children, our future children coming in. There are so many people starting to homeschool their kids, including myself, only because of this mask mandate. I have concerns about a few other things that are coming around the bend now that I'm learning about homeschooling and other indoctrination things that are happening, but that I'm not here for. I'm here just to state that I just want the masks removed. I will be willing to come back to school because this is my tax dollars. Amendment 14 says that you are supposed to provide education. I have been emailing people for help. I need some assistance with some of the homeschooling programs because it's different than what I'm doing. And since I sacrificed my job because I don't even sacrifice my job. I just didn't get the vaccine. So I lost my job at Oak Hill. So now I'm having to relocate my entire family over to Massachusetts. And that's not even a guarantee. Regardless of my situation, because I'm not a victim of this. I mean, we all are kind of. But my point is that we can argue till the cows come home on like who's right, who's wrong. But we all know that this is about freedom of choice. Freedom, our liberty, what we stand on. Are we going to make a decision now? Or are we going to wait and just keep waiting and hoping that something will change? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Sound familiar? You know that you've heard this before. It's not about who's right, who's wrong. The vaccine, whether you vaccinate, whether you don't vaccinate, that's not the point. The point is freedom of choice. That's all I'm arguing for is freedom of choice. Maybe we could wean them into it. There's going to be a lot of psychological ramifications of this, as we know. Our therapists are working very hard and diligent on this. I'm a developmental psychologist and I work for DARC. So I have drug and alcohol rehabilitation counseling experience. So I've been doing entrepreneurial work for free because I have nothing else. I'm just offering my services and I want to continue and I will. Eventually, I'll be working more in a capacity where I'll be making more money. For now, I want to support the Bakerville community and all the people here. I have friends and family in this area that I'm helping as well. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, but it's tight. Money is very tight right now. We lost one of our incomes. My husband's a music teacher. I'm a reading teacher. You know what the math is. I mean, we're making our sacrifices. I think others can make theirs. The point is freedom versus authoritarianism. Thank you so much for everyone else who spoke. They would have said the same thing I would say. My last concern is when I'll tell you specifically about my daughter. Again, she came home and a different person in kindergarten. Then I put her in there. Now, Miss Mangina was amazing. Now, I love every single teacher there. So far, everyone I've met has been amazing. But when she came home one day, it just broke my heart that she said, is there something wrong with me? Okay. So she said, is there something wrong with me? No, nothing's wrong with you. Had to go into the whole thing about what's going on. Some people are afraid of this disease and we have to wear masks to protect each other. I went into the narrative, but I went into both sides. And I think that's important because if I have a religious exemption for my child I have before she was in preschool. We are Christian and we believe that God can heal. We also believe that our immune system actually works and there's science behind that. I'm not here to argue that, but I'm here to just please ask you to please remove these masks. If not, I believe that the division is going to just get farther and farther apart and we're going to have more problems. Doesn't matter what side of the fence, liberal, libertarian, Republican, Democrat. It's not about that. It's about unity and love. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we will close public comment and move on to the superintendent's report. Brian?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. I am proud and pleased to present the Hartford Public Schools 2022-2023 budget. Before I start, I'd like to thank the administrative team sitting here tonight, the central office staff, and many staff members who helped compile this budget. So if we look here, these are the main engines, the main drivers of the budget as far as the budget summary. I'll just look at the significantly increases and decreases, and of course, there'll be specific line items as we move forward with the budget presentation tonight. So regular education did go down. That's the certified staff members. You were able to realize a decrease in there. I'll talk about staffing in a minute. We did hire two teachers at a low level versus experienced teachers. That did help as far as the budget and line items as well. Special education is a decrease of 2.5%. That's been a big driver, a big part of the increase over the last several years. We did reduce our outplacements from 4 to 3, so that's why we see that savings there. In addition, one of our nurses that worked with one of our students will not be needed next year, and that was a sizable savings, and I'll get to that as we move towards that line item. Health services, that was nurses' salaries. We did hire a new nurse this year at a higher rate, so that's part of the salary increase there as far as health services. We have 10.8% as far as the media, library media centers. That's for the online subscriptions. There's a major driver in that line item. Technology, 5.8%. The curriculum online resources. We did add a couple of programs this year. And that drove that increase as far as that line item. Central office is 2.2%. That dealt with salaries. School office is 4.2%. We just approved, and the board just approved the administrative contract this year. That drove that line item. Plant operations, 10.3%. Increases in maintenance supplies for custodial supplies, maintenance projects, and also emergency repairs, which was higher than budgeted the last couple of years there. Employee benefits, 5.4%. As far as health insurance increase, that was a big driver there. People transportation, 4.6%. As far as our first year, this is our first year with DACL, regular ed, transportation, and special education transportation as well. It comes to a 1.9% increase for folks. This chart just gives you a very good snapshot as far as where the expenses are going in the Hartford Public Schools. As always, about 2/3 of the budget, they are salaries and benefits. That's with every school budget in the country and the state. Enrollment class sizes here. We are going down a little bit as far as our enrollment for next year. I do want to state that our class sizes will remain the same. This is very important. We understand it's very important to have that great small class learning environment for all of our students. In addition, our pupil expenditure, if you look compared to the rest of Region 7, a couple of neighboring districts, Hartford is at the lowest there. So we're getting tremendous results for the per pupil expenditure as far as what does it cost to educate every child in the country. We talked about kindergarten as well. We are looking to reduce one teaching section for next year. We have 4 6th grade classes leaving, and we're projected to have 3 classes come in. It's impossible to exactly predict what the kindergarten enrollment will be. We have one main point there as far as the birth certificates. 5 years ago, that was 42. The last few years, as far as 2 data points, you look at the birth certificates 5 years ago, we had 7 or 8 kids. That will arrive as far as our projection. This does not take into account as far as students coming into the district. Once again, it's very difficult to predict, but we've been on the mark as far as very close with our kindergarten projections.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
sorry. Do you want to take questions at the end if we, or just along the way? Okay. I just had a question on the preschool. Are we increasing the enrollment to 20 from 17?
Yes, we have. Yes,
Okay. Is that due to demand or just ability to
Yeah, so we have some 3-year-olds, so 4-year-olds, and that's the biggest driver.
Okay. Okay, great.
If we look at the line items here, as far as the drivers, I mentioned a little bit about this, specifics as far as these line items. You do see a 14.8% increase as far as additional professional responsibilities. We did add additional survey, scientific research-based intervention. Teachers were part of that committee, which will increase that line item as far as that's concerned, working on students' academic and behavioral needs through survey. So that really drove that increase there. Next page.
Hey, Brian.
Sure.
I'm sorry, back to the enrollment class sizes.
Yeah.
How many students have we had enter the new Hartford system this year? Do you know?
Yes, so we've had about 20 over the last couple of months. And I mentioned that that was a spike over the last few months there as far as that's concerned.
And I remember
20?
you saying something like that.
Wow.
And again, I'm looking at 21, 22, 62 to 63, 46 to 47, 57 kids. It's one student in these 22, 23 projections,
Yeah.
which doesn't add up to the 20 that have added, that come into the school system.
Yeah, so we had 20 the last couple of months, but then we had some kids leave throughout the whole year.
Right.
So I can get you that number as far as, the minus plus. We are up a few kids totally from our projection from this year. But that surge was the last couple of months as far as 20 kids coming into the year.
But that surge, Brian, isn't that already in your 21, 22 numbers? To your
Yeah,
point?
yeah, yeah.
So you're estimating one increase into the coming year for each grade?
But it's going to be, total enrollment's going down.
Right.
Because of the sixth graders, big sixth grade cohort.
Right.
Leaving in the kindergarten projection coming in.
But do you see that, Tim? It's already
You're
big.
saying it's in the 21.
Yeah.
So the 20 minus who's left is in the 21, 22. So you're saying one student projecting.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
Which I've looked at that historically, and it's been more like 2 per grade on average, looking back like 4 years, but it's a plus.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next page, as far as purchase services on the front, top there, we got teaching supplies going up 9.7%, and textbooks and resources, 12.7. We did add additional materials for science. We're in our first full year as far as history science. We're the big driver as far as this page is concerned. Personnel, special education professional staff, 4.4%. Here, I mentioned it's a little different from the certified regular ed teachers. You did hire a teacher at a higher rate, a lot of experience. This past year, that really drove this line item. Director of Student Services, you see a 10.5% increase. That was student administrator contract. Director of Student Services went from 205 to 220 days. So that really drove that increase there. Special education paraprofessionals, that is a 4.7% increase. Although the increase for tutors / paraprofessionals is 2%, we are receiving less grant money as far as this line item. So that's why we have the 4.7%. You go down there, pupil services therapies, there was a decrease 7.8%. Next page stays with special education here. Teaching supplies. I talked about contracted services. That's $88,000. That was one-on-one nurse there that will not be needed next year, so we were able to realize that savings in that line item. In service of 45.9%, $2,500 difference. Also tuitions, which really drove our increases, as I mentioned, the last few years, special education. We were able to realize some savings in that line item.
I'm sorry, Brian, are there less students outplaced at this point, or?
Yes, so it's going from 4 students to 3 students. And once again, that can change throughout the course of the year at any moment, at any time. So that's what's
We have correct students? Any idea where we are with correct students?
Yeah, we have 16 correct students.
I think the same for next year.
So is that the increases because there was a student added for this year, to 527?
What line item are you talking about, from?
The tuition,
The tuition, the outplacement,
yes.
560, yeah. Yeah, there's a decrease there because of less money, and we're down one student as far as an outplacement student before the split.
I think he's talking about the 527,000
The
actual.
yeah, what was that, why is that number so good?
So that was last year, because we had unforeseen, unanticipated costs. And when we came to the board, we told the board
Oh,
about
that was,
that.
that extra,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
Okay, thank you.
No. So improvement of instruction, tuition reimbursement program, you see a lot of 0% there, it'll stay the same. Library media centers, once again, the only increase you see is at the bottom of the page, the online subscriptions, as far as the library media center. Page 24, you'll see flat line again, so line is staying the same. Technology on page 25. You see a decrease of, sizable decrease in technical licenses. The big increases I mentioned as far as curriculum-based online resources. That's for Lexia, a lot of our science, literacy science program, as well as software platforms that really drove the increase in this line. Page 26, the Board of Education. Again, there's not any increases in these line items. Central office, you see increases as far as the staff in central office. Next
I'm
page.
sorry, Brian, real quick, back to page 26.
Sure.
Legal fees. We spent 66 to date, that was 28.
Yeah, that was last year, yes.
Do we need more as we move forward to 23, 24?
I think we'll be okay. That's a good question, but I think we'll be okay.
Do we have just one contract coming up next year?
We do. We got teachers, negotiations coming up.
So that'll be enough to cover it?
Yes.
Okay.
Next page, the president will have any increases as far as that line item. Administrative salaries at 5.5%. Again, the board approved the administrative contract this past year. We get competitive with surrounding districts. We have those one-time increases as far as that's concerned, so that line item. Now, the rest of the page is, you see administrative assistants, the increases there. Professional dues, there's not any increases here. Plant operations, you have custodial salaries, up 1.6%. Utilities is down almost 2%. Emergency repairs, as I talked about, up 8,000.
Hey, Brian, going to utilities, I know the electricity bills have been going up. And you're proposing less than, a little bit less. Is that a little concerning?
No. We had that project, a few years ago, as far as LED installations in the new schools.
Yep.
That ran out as far as the money to pay for that project.
So we're benefiting now 100%? Oh, great. Okay.
Why
You
is
might have a little
emergency,
surplus there, Brian.
why is emergency repairs up so high?
Yes, Betty. So I wanted to put extra money in there to keep up with the maintenance project.
Okay.
Page 32, maintenance. This was a line item that was decreased a couple of times over the last several years. But we do have maintenance that always needs to be done. And then clean the entrance carpets, water bottle filler, the Bakerville, repair the curbing at the, around the main entrance, repair the ramp by the dumpster, and the Hartford Elementary and new floor structure. So that's the budget for that. Service contracts, up 5.7%. We always try to look for the best bang for a buck here. And, this helps support us as far as maintaining the school.
What is Hughes Mechanical?
Yes, that goes as far as underground storage.
Oh, okay.
On page 34, the maintenance supplies. So last year, we used some of our COVID money for some of the custodial, the school supplies here. So that's why you see that sizable increase there. Heating oil is a lot more, as you know, this year. And hopefully it doesn't go up anymore. But now that's a sizable increase with the heating oil, so that's over the last past year.
Aren't we in a consortium for that?
We are. So we partner with about a dozen school districts in the area. We do receive our oil from East River Energy. So it helps drive down as far as the oil prices.
And who goes out and asks the other oil companies for quotes? Or do they?
They don't do it. Because we have so many districts working together to help drive down the cost of heating oil. But they don't usually shop it around as far as other companies. That could always be an option moving forward in the future.
I'm just curious why you don't try other companies to see if they would, with all the people, all the schools doing it, if they would charge us less to save us money.
I think it's a pretty competitive market where you know what I mean, there's a few pennies here and there, you know, so. Overall, I think it's pretty consistent.
It's still worth looking into. Can't hurt.
Okay, yeah.
It's a good point. Medical, dental, and health insurance. So we have the increase at 6% here. Once again, we're in a consortium as well. The many surrounding districts, 3 to 7, several towns in northwest Connecticut. And, that's the increase right now. We work with Brown and Brown as our insurance consultant. Other big increases the pension fund.
I'm sorry, Brian.
Yep.
When will that renewal get settled? It's in March usually, or?
Probably in March.
Okay. And has there been any discussion on, reductions or?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly to go down to percent of plans.
Okay. Thank
The
you.
pension fund, as far as non-certified staff participating, that did go up, so no people participated in that plan. So 6.3% increase at the bottom of the page there. Workers' comp is down sizably, administrative travel is down sizably. People transportation, as I mentioned earlier tonight, and first year with Danville, sizable increase there. And special education bus leases. And we did see a decrease as far as special education coverage for transportation. Communications flat, we're not increasing. Does anyone have any questions?
If we can go back to the service contract.
Sure.
It's 2033, page 33. Department of Public Safety, $2,000. What is that, Brian?
Say that again, please?
On the service contracts, Department of Public Safety, $2,000. Page 33.
You want my budget?
Yep.
33?
Yes.
What's the question?
About six, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 line down, Department of Public Safety, $2,000. What is that?
That's for fingerprinting?
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's, you fingerprint employees or
Yeah, it was those for employees.
every year?
New employees, yes.
Well, that seems a lot of money.
And
How many-
then also, parents too, who are volunteers, that line item helps as far as fingerprinting as well, for parent volunteers.
Is that the same as under professional dues, 2,000 for fingerprinting? Is that the same thing?
It is both,
So it's a total of 4,000?
yes.
Oh. Okay. A lot of money.
But we feel we don't want to put that on the backs of parents as far as printing costs, but I understand.
Don't they do that as a service downtown at the police station? No?
Or around this, Brian, what's Blackboard?
Is that on the same page? Sir?
Yeah, it's the new one this year. We have it, Blackboard,
Well-
fourth one down.
I'll have to get back to you. I'll get back to you.
So why isn't all the fingerprinting just in one line item? Why don't you just make it 4,000 on this page? Or we have to have a contract and then,
We like to split it up as far as.
but with the lack of volunteers in the school, do we really need to spend that much money?
Yes, because we will hopefully pick up where it was before.
Oh. Okay.
Under which line item is the other one, Penny? If you don't mind?
Don't remember, but I'll find it.
Page 26.
No.
Yeah. Under professional dues.
No, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems redundant.
So we don't fingerprint the current teachers every year, correct?
Correct.
So this is only for new
Full
people?
staff, not certified, certified, parent volunteers.
Okay,
Who does the fingerprinting?
police.
Ted Advance, one of our regional rests, does that.
Well, that, they do it for the teachers. But for the volunteers, you go to the police department.
This part, yes.
But does the police department charge you? Or Troop B charge you?
Yes, we charge. The district has to pay. And we don't want to pass on to the parents.
I thought it was only something like $50 or something.
Brian, on the service contracts, these red items that don't show the actual spend, is that it describes on the page 33, so that doesn't mean nothing was spent in 2020, 21.
Right.
Can we get those numbers, or is that,
So, Carl, every year there'll be different testing schedules and things of that nature, so sometimes you will not have those fees the previous year.
okay? But the totals at the bottom don't seem to add up. If like for 2021, it's a total of 107,000. I don't think those add up. What's on there?
You have to go back to this.
Okay.
I don't know, yeah.
Thank you.
On page 14, what is responsible teachers?
That's for teachers who take over for the principal.
Oh.
Principal's not available, principal's not in.
I got you.
There wasn't a line item for stipends for those people?
That's the line item for them.
That's what they call them now?
For the budget purposes.
Because on the nurse's salary, you have a lead nurse stipend.
That's separate. As teachers, tell you something about the nurse. The nurse leader has a stipend.
Okay.
Brian, again, back to service contract for a second. Johnson Controls versus Universal Building Controls. What are they doing? What's the difference between them? Universal, it says maintenance plan for heating control system. What is Johnson doing for us for $4,700?
So you have two different companies who install the heating control systems at Hartford Elementary and Bakerville. So that's how we have those two different ones versus two different companies.
And then Emmy Carroll, what are they, $1,250 annual contract for what is that?
So they're very clean, and for the septic system, they clean the leach field and things of that nature. The maintenance, yearly maintenance on that.
So if we add up all the service contracts for 2021, there are month numbers missing, right?
Yes.
Because, I mean, if you add up the ones that are in black, they don't come up to 107. But there's, so there's some missing. Would it be possible to get at some point, like just a little description of what the service contract is for? Like Hughes, like that Hughes Mechanical that you told me about?
Sure.
I mean, some of them are obvious.
Yeah, we have some descriptions there, but yes, you could do that.
Like-
on all those, like, things, you get an itemized bill when they come and do their service and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Brian, for any of those, I know we focus a lot on this page. Have we, and I know we've looked at some in the past, have any of these gone to the plant operations subcommittee just to review? No?
That really does not come over for you.
Okay. I just want to make sure, we're, not that you want to bid things every year and try to find new
Right.
contracts, but some of them might get stale.
And what is volunteer sign up for 199 next year? Near the bottom.
I have to get that.
Okay.
Brian, under maintenance, to repair the curbing and then repair the ramp at the dumpster. Why is that under maintenance and not capital? Is there a reason for that?
Yes, so, with the bigger maintenance projects, Tim, we go under capital, 9,000, and about 10,000, so this is under that, so,
The dollar value?
yes, that.
Don't those curbs get broken every winter?
Sometimes it's still, we do a damage, those curbs sometimes, yes. But we're constantly talking to the,
Are they concrete or are they macadam?
I think they're pavement,
Yeah, the eight.
asphalt. I wonder if, like, do we need those, or are they, I know they hold back the lawn, but, okay. I've noticed every winter those get broken.
I didn't know if maybe the ones that are concrete would work better, last a little bit longer. We could save money on the scrubber and have Mr. Rick put stuff on his shoes and go down the hallway.
That's true.
He could skate.
Tom and Deirdre, do you have any questions on our initial read of the budget? Nothing?
So, disclosure, 1.9%. Feel it's a responsible budget meets the needs of all of our students. Not cutting any programs. We're actually adding health teacher in the primary schools for increasing it half day a week. Let's continue programming. Increasing programming has been a big strength of the district for the last several years. We've had some tremendous student achievement levels in areas, specifically science went up 10%. I standardized tests, the SBAC last year. That's a very important indicator as far as growth. As far as the primary schools, as far as reading, writing, and math, 85 to 90%. Those are tremendous achievement levels. In the SBAC, we beat the state averages every single year except this past year in ELA. And I would say a quarter of the students in Connecticut, their SBAC scores did not count because they were on remote learning. But last year when we were on remote learning, that did not count as far as the total picture, as far as the aggregate data, as far as all students. So we're very proud of our achievement levels. I know a community member has mentioned as far as consolidating or closing the school, it is impossible with our current program and a number of kids to close any school anywhere. So I just want to make that abundantly clear as far as that's concerned. So the senior leadership team is very happy with what we're doing, very proud of what we're doing. And once again, we'll continue to do what's in the best interest of all the kids. So once again, I can't thank you enough. We'll not be here without your leadership and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian,
Thanks,
for
Brian.
going through that.
Good job.
Do we have any other questions? I just had one, just like a few things that I noticed on a few pages. Like
Here's
page,
the other question. Did we go through capital?
oh, good question.
Brian, I think you might have stopped as you got to capital.
Yes, you're right. Yes, could we go through capital right now?
Before you go to capital, just, I want a couple things here. On page 7, it just needs a dollar sign on the 2021-22 capital number.
Yeah.
And then on page 8, the summary, you mentioned the drivers of the remaining increases, health insurance and then medical dental. That's kind of repetitive. And then I wanted to just, for the salary increases, is the teacher reduction in that number?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
So that salary increase is -1%.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Anything else before we go to capital? Okay.
Thank you. So we had a plant facility and transportation committee meeting last Thursday to review the capital plan. And technology, once again, we've done that the last several years as far as Chromebooks. We have one Chromebook for every student here in New Hartford. So it's about a 5-year timeline to replenish Chromebooks. So we're looking to purchase 90 Chromebooks, also 4 from EPM boards and the server here at Antolini School. So with these 4 Promethean boards, all of our classrooms, teaching classrooms will have a Promethean board for next year. Now, that does not include special areas and special education classrooms, so you will see Promethean boards again moving forward, but we're very proud that every teaching classroom will have a Promethean board for next year. In addition, at Antolini, to add outlets and relabel electrical panels for $12,000. Security upgrades, we've been doing that the last several years as far as improving safety here in the schools. Furniture replacement, we did that a couple years ago at $20,000. Paint classrooms and paving. Paving is the big increase that we have. We talked a lot about this at the Plant Facility Transportation Committee meeting. We'll continue to review the specs. Also to look at the drop-off pickup as far as here at Antolini. And we're planning to have another meeting before our next Board of Education meeting on February 15th to review those procedures there.
What are we paving
So it's the drop-off pickup,
at the other end?
yes, over by Oak Hill.
Yeah,
It's really needed.
okay.
So that has been on the 5-year capital plan previously. And then we will look to pay the staff parking lot next year, as far as the next year's capital plan.
24,
Yeah.
23, 24.
Also furniture replacement of $15,000 and paint classrooms at $8,000 for $250,000. That is a significant increase compared to other capital plan expenditures over previous years.
Brian, the furniture, didn't we replace some of the furniture at Bakerville a few years back?
We did it at New Hartford
Oh, it was
Elementary.
just New Hartford, yeah. Okay.
So this year we got 1 class from Antolini and then 4 or 5 classes.
Carl, has a vendor already been chosen for the furniture?
No,
No,
we're going to go out to bid, but no, it hasn't.
okay, not chosen.
There hasn't been chosen?
No.
We haven't used the state list.
What's that?
You used the state list for that?
We didn't use last time, no. For the furniture, no. Any questions on the capital plan?
Why don't we use the state list?
We can take a look at that, absolutely. Just,
I mean,
this time around,
was it more expensive?
we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Just during the process.
Any other questions on the capital plan?
And these are just regular classrooms, right? That you're painting?
Yeah.
Oh,
One
okay.
home.
You know where my picture is?
All right. So, as Brian said, we have another Board of Ed meeting in 2 weeks on the 15th. And I'd like to suggest, that we go through the budget, go through it, and if you have any questions or comments or, clarity needed, email Brian and I, or Brian. If you're
Sure,
okay with
absolutely.
that?
Yep.
And he can be prepared at the next meeting to, sort of finalize things, and we can go through. And, ultimately, I'd like us to approve the budget at the next meeting, and assuming there's no hiccups or issues with the capital plan. So that's the goal.
You don't attend the Board of Finance meeting next week, do you?
I do not.
Any more questions on that? All right, thank you, Brian, for going through that. I think it's a good budget compared to where we've been in some other years, and I appreciate you, being diligent.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. We didn't have the minutes in time to get on the agenda. It's okay, Penny, don't worry about it. So we just have the expenditure report and personnel. Brian, do you have any
I do not.
You do not, okay. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Mary seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Tim, did you go up? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
It's on
They
there.
did, yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to reports. We have a second reading on 3 reports that we went through last time, so this will be the final reading. Mary, do you want to take that?
So the first policy on the second read is P6159. This is, existing policy we have with some changes that are highlighted in red. Do you make any other changes to this policy? Any questions on that policy?
I think we're good.
The next one, P5113, attendance. These absences.
I think you just had that one change on page
Oh, yeah, here.
2 on B.
B, letter B, we just changed K through 12 to K through 6. That one.
Any questions on that one?
And the last policy, P5131.1, sorry. The only changes we made were on D. Just changed the year in the first paragraph to 2021. And then we deleted in paragraph 2 the whole part of the sentence from letter C on. So the only changes on this policy.
Yes, take out the word "and" though,
Yes.
in the comma. Make the comma a period.
All right, any other questions on that policy?
So Janet, so I don't forget, so that's the one thing you just let Janet know that's the
Yeah.
option to make the thing. Okay.
Thanks, Mary. Any other questions? All right, can I have a motion to approve policy 6159, 5113, and 5131.911?
So
Mary, thanks. Second,
Second.
Penny? Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
I'm going to abstain, Carl.
Oh, you abstained, I'm sorry, I thought I saw your hand.
No problem.
Tom abstains.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to new business. Brian, we're going to go over the school calendar.
Yes, thank you, Carl. I will present the proposed 2022-2023 school calendar. Start off, the first day of school in August is slated to be August 31st. It's a Wednesday with 3 professional development days prior. First one starting on the 26th. That's been the situation the last several years as far as 3 PD days to get ready for school. Also, September, you have Labor Day. October, we have the Columbus weekend. We have that Friday of Columbus weekend, a full day PD day, no school for students. In November, we have Election Day, November 8th, which will be a PD day for students as well. We do have our parent-teacher conferences Monday and Tuesday, the 21st and 22nd, and of course our 3-day Thanksgiving holiday there. We move to December. We have a half day on December 23rd, which is a Friday, 1 o'clock dismissal, and the winter break will be from the 26th to the 2nd, returning on January 3rd. Friday of Martin Luther King weekend, that Friday is a half-day PD day for students. And of course, staff will be working in the afternoon when students are dismissed at 1 o'clock. Move to February. We have 2 days, which we changed that this year, 2 full days in February. As far as the February break, that 17th, which is a Friday, is a full day PD day. March, we did add the half day on Friday. As far as 1 o'clock dismissal for students, and staff will work in the afternoon. And of course, we have March 22nd and 23rd as parent-teacher conference days for the district. Moving to April, Good Friday is on April 7th. And I'll move into next week, the 7th to the 14th, for the April recess. Memorial Day is on Monday the 29th, and the last day of school is slated to be June 12th with June 13th as far as professional development day for teachers at 180 days. There was questions about remote learning for next year, so it has not been solidified by the state, but once again, it looks like that school districts in the state will be able to use snow days for remote days. I thought that worked well. We budgeted 5 last year for snow days, and after that, we went to distance learning. So I'll continue to update the board when the state makes a decision as far as remote snow days for next year. Does anyone have any questions on the proposed calendar?
How does this align with Region 7, with your calendar?
Perfect.
Okay.
Is every day the exact same amount of time? No, but as far as the vacation and things of that nature, pennies you're alluding to, they're the same.
Well, no, but like for parents that have children up at Region 7 and children down here.
Right, yes, it's a line, yes.
Okay.
Brian, what's the half day for March 10th? What's that for?
That's for PD, professional development for teachers.
Oh,
Brian, just a correction on here in November.
Sure.
Dismissal should be 21 and 22.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Where is that? In the comments somewhere?
It says 23, 24, it should
Oh,
be 21, 22.
Yep. Brian, is this the same number of PD days that we've had this year?
It is, that's 7 full PD days. Yep.
How has that been going?
It's been going well. So thank you to the board. We did spread them out a little bit more. We added some half days during the course of the year, so that's worked very, very well. So we don't have that big space in between professional training days.
Are we still coordinating training with I know it's not every time, but is there any coordinated training with that regional?
So,
I'm sorry, that's a little off topic, but.
yeah, but usually the Columbus weekend day, that Friday, we worked with the rest of our regional partners, elementary and Region 7, Northwestern Middle School. That hasn't been the case with COVID the last
Right.
couple of years, but we look to move in that direction for next year again.
Okay.
For the collaboration.
Brian, the November 8th, right, that professional day, right? We've had conversations in the past, and we've had people come to speak to us about Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Is there anything we can do to, that professional day, move the 8th to the 11th?
The 8th
Because that
is voting,
vote is a voting day there.
but I don't see any reason why we can't. We don't vote in the schools. I don't know why we don't have schools, but,
We vote right down here at the fire station.
right, or at town hall. So why not make it the 11th, and that would,
Yeah, I mean,
Or
again, I just.
for Veterans Day?
Right, if there's an opportunity to consider that.
So, yeah, you're right. I remember people coming and speaking a few years ago. So we made a concerted effort to really honor our veterans during that day. So we use that day in education to really show our
Wait,
students
so
and
what do you
acknowledge our veterans. On veterans. in school.
So what is it that you wanted to, what are you saying, Tim?
I was saying shift the 8th to the 11th, but not realizing that it's a voting day, but
But is it a,
yeah, if we don't use the schools, why do we put the schools?
I don't know.
But then we shift that, right? I mean, I know part of the discussion was students spending time with their veteran family members on that day. And observing. Again, I think it's important that if we don't allow the students to be home with their loved ones, that we are ensuring that we're honoring our veterans in school.
I think there was a little bit less of that with COVID, right, Brian? I know we
I
had-
think that's what happened.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to have volunteers in school.
Yeah, the veterans used to come in and sit up front.
Yeah, give a ceremony.
Yeah, it was. Is it a state law that we have to be closed? So we could stay open on the 8th and take the 11th off
We
instead?
could, but once again, I do think there's tremendous value for celebrating veterans when kids are in school. They might not get that at home. I understand that some do celebrate at home, but I do think
Right.
it's been a very powerful day
Okay.
for kids to be in school.
If we could go back to the way that it used to be, and not the way that it has been. I mean, that was very moving when all the veterans were here, and they got to have something to eat before it.
We want to get back to that.
Yeah, and they sat up front.
It's a wonderful ceremony.
It
Been here
was.
many times, absolutely. And Tony and the staff's done a tremendous job with that. And
And
I know
the-
the primary
And the
schools
teachers.
have events as well to celebrate our veterans.
Yeah, the staff did an excellent job celebrating the veterans.
Absolutely. I mean, I kind of see both sides of that. Having the kids in school, if there's a ceremony and interaction with a veteran, not every family has veterans in their family. So
Right.
that's having that exposure is valuable, but I can see honoring them with a day off is also valuable.
Well, I think the man that came and spoke to us too was also a veteran.
So what do you think about that? It'd be great if
I
we.
just, again, my point was, again, making sure
Right, I agree.
those are comfortable, so that, if we are making a strong effort to.
I think New Hartford is pretty incredible, the programs that
Absolutely.
they have put on. I can say that. When I worked in a district, I used to feel the same way, Tim. I used to want, I never could understand it, and then once I realized that, what schools were actually putting together and how awesome it was, it actually was my favorite day of the year. My dad came in with one day for a veterans, and it wasn't an easy feat getting him there either. And it was probably like the highlight of the year. He just felt like the Pied Piper that day. With all the kids just really honored him, and they made a big deal about it. He ended up in the paper. It was kind of cool. I don't know what other districts do, but I think normally during normal times, we do all the
Right.
things.
Well said, yeah.
I think, I mean, it is important, even if we're not in a normal circumstance for whatever reason in November, that, you know, there's a program that they, to
Right.
expose the kids to and honor the veterans. The only other thing and you said we're aligned with regional, but having the last day on a Monday is,
I was looking at that.
but then you have to, what do you have to do? You have to push back August, right? A day?
I just want to, it's not perfectly aligned with regional. They go 181 days, I think, so
Okay.
it's not exact, but the vacations are the same.
But if we went to school in November, instead of staying home for voting, we could move it back to that Friday.
Good.
Well, I think an issue might be with the traffic down below here. You know, and there's a lot of schools that are voting places, so.
This is true.
Good point, Anna, includes the PD then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Most districts use that day, it's PD day, yeah.
I guess the kids get an easy day on June 12th. Right, if they don't get that, that's a really good point with the snow days. Oh, that's my other question I want to ask is, if the remote learning option's available, that'll be our choice, right?
That's correct.
Okay. You're really right. I mean, we're going to be past the Monday regardless because of snow days. Inevitably.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, any motion to approve? We're good? Good. What we have?
Tim, was that you?
Yes.
Oh, you did motion to approve? Oh,
You
thanks.
just did.
And they second.
No problem.
Mary? All right, any last discussion on the calendar? All right, those in favor?
Aye.
We're good, 100%. Thank you.
Did Deidre say yes too?
Yes, she did. That's all we got. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Penny, any second? Mary? All in favor?
Yep.
We are good. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Tom and Deirdre. Have a good one.